rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Welcome to episode 185 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast, the first 60 pounds. I was going to do two separate episodes on this one. One was going to be the first 60 pounds, and the other one was going to be called Taking Control. But I made an executive podcaster decision, and I'm going to combine them together. So I'm just scratching it out. That's me writing an arrow pointing to the left. I'm sure you could tell that by the sound. So the first 60 pounds is in reference to the fact that I'm down 61 pounds in 11 weeks of my bodybuilding, 50-year-old bodybuilding rookie pursuit thing. I don't know what word it is. I don't know what word. The words fail me right now. My objective for 2019, the bodybuilding. And I want to talk a bit about how it's going, how I'm feeling, what's working. I'm getting a lot of questions, which is great. As I said a couple episodes earlier, people seem to feel that I've discovered the secret, the fountain. Who was that Spanish guy that was looking for the fountain of youth there? Coronado or something like that? Cortez, Coronado, one of those guys. I think you can look up one of the episodes of Indiana Jones and they talk about it anyway. So as you can tell, I'm big into history. But people think that that's what's happened. I've stumbled across it. The aha moment, the code has been cracked, and somehow I know what only 3 other people on the planet know. And obviously it's not the case. In fact, all I'm really doing is I've set a large goal, an important goal, and I've sat down and just taken the knowledge that I already have after 28 years or 25 years in the fitness industry and just put it into practice. You know, at the end of the day, this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And I've lost weight before. This is probably my 3rd time dropping or having a goal of losing over 100 pounds. And I'm 50, going to be 51. And the reason why I get so big is because I lose control. I lose control early on. The first couple of times is I drank a lot. I used alcohol to medicate. I used alcohol to feel better. I used things like food and stuff. I didn't care about those things. As long as I trained heavy and I could bench heavy, everything was all right. But the problem was on the outside, I was positive and outgoing, and I had a lot of energy, and I, drove business, and I did great things that way. But on the inside, I was a fucking wreck when it came to the important things. When it came to the things like self-love and self-respect and believing in myself. I kind of did, but I didn't have enough of it to help me want to hold higher standards for myself and treat myself better and feel that I was deserving of being in a better place and deserving of more success and deserving of happiness. So I ate shit and I drank a lot. And I got lazy. So I was in a terrible place mentally. So the first 2 times I dropped 100 pounds, I basically caught myself and said, that's enough. Focus on what you need to do. So then I would eat better, I would exercise more, and then I would lose the weight. And as I lose the weight, wonderful things would happen around me. My business would improve, my relationships would improve, I would improve. But the problem is I hadn't dealt with some things internally that were just waiting for me to slip up, just waiting for me to be in a weakened state, and it would come charging in. Memories and things and regrets and emotions and all those things that we all have to deal with. Only I wasn't very good at dealing with it. I could deal with it for a little bit. And then I would slip and I would slide back. A friend once told me, he said, when things are going well, all of a sudden you zig to a different direction. And he was right. Because sometimes I felt when I was having success, I didn't deserve it. or it was fleeting, or it's just a moment away before it all comes tumbling down, right? Irrational thinking, irrational fears, but it's because I was coming from an irrational place emotionally with certain things in my life. So as I got sober and as I got healthier, we're entering into the third time that I'm losing this weight. Now, the big thing for me, the big difference on this is that I just finally was in a position where I said enough is enough. And I realized, as I said a few episodes ago, that I really have to have large goals. I really need to have reasons to pull me out of bed when I don't want to get out of bed. And I think that's the same for all of us. I think some of us need it more than others, depending on how you're wired, how centered you are, right? Some people are just more centered. Some people just are in a better situation, and they're the ones that tend to achieve more because they're not dealing with some of the other things, or they've learned to deal with these things and move through it. And that's kind of where I feel I'm at now, dealing with things better. I still have fears. I still have concerns. Most of them sometimes can be, considered irrational. Things that we fear are often a lot smaller than they really are, but we work them up in our minds to be something bigger than they are. So at the end of the day, putting yourself in a better position with your mind and your focus, but also raising your standards for yourself, making sure that you believe you deserve better. You truly believe that you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be loved, specifically by ourselves. If we don't have self-love, it doesn't matter how many other people love us. We'll never see it, we'll never feel it, we'll never appreciate it, because deep down, we feel that it doesn't make sense that they would love us because we don't love ourselves. Now, what does that got to do with losing 60 pounds? Quite honestly, it has everything to do with it. When I finished the powerlifting last year and I did well, and I looked back and said, listen, the last 2 years I worked really hard. I hit levels of benching I'd never hit before at 50. I had a goal. I didn't quite get it, but I was okay with that at the end because I know I worked my ass off for it. I knew that I was in a good place mentally about it because I know I did everything I could, and I had just hit a peak, and staying there for 6 months longer wasn't going to move me any further. But I was aware that my weight had gone up to 397 pounds, and I could feel it on my body. I wasn't sick. I was pretty healthy. I had pretty good energy, especially for an almost 400-pound guy. But deep down, I knew I didn't want to be 400 pounds. And when I got to 397, part of an alarm went off in my head and said, here we go again, round 3. So I said, enough is enough. And I actually had these conversations with myself. And I said, enough is enough, man. I said, this is the point where you have to make changes. The last time I lost the weight, I went down to 290 pounds, is just after I started hostile conditioning, the gym. Within a year of starting, a year and a half, I lost 100 pounds. And when I look back, one of the biggest boosts to my business happened when I lost that 100 pounds. The brand jumped on scene. People joined. People wanted to be part of it because they saw the results. And then sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes we forget about what successes we've had because the day-to-day of things, and we get in our own way. So when I was sitting there talking to myself and having these discussions about, getting the weight down, I started to really think about what's happened every time I've taken back control. That was in the second part of that second episode that I'm combining, taking control. What happened the last 2 times when I said that's it, time to lose this weight? I took control. I became accountable to myself. The first time I lost that weight, I got down to 275 pounds. I met my wife, a wonderful woman, giving me a wonderful family and a wonderful home. She didn't marry me because I was 275 and I was jacked. She married me because I was confident and I was strong, mentally and physically, and I was in a great place. And then I did what a lot of people do once they get into a long-term relationship. I let things slide. I got busy. I was dealing with other things or not dealing well with other things. Then the second time is about 7 years ago, when I lost the weight, and that's how I started Hostile. But at that point, I was almost 400 pounds again. My businesses had collapsed. I had multiple locations. I imploded because all things that, at the end of the day would come down to me, and I wasn't handling it well. I wasn't able to make the tough decisions. I was making the weak decisions. I wasn't healthy. I was drinking too much. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was in a weakened state. I was making weak decisions. And it all came crashing down. So I sat there, picked myself back up, dusted off, and said, listen, first thing I do is I got to get back in shape. So from that one store, I started training, picked up a few clients, started losing more weight, got into kettlebells, lost some more weight, picked up some more clients. Hostile was born. That was a 1,500 square foot facility. 7 years later, we are in 13,000 square feet. We have hundreds of members. But again, it was a pattern. It wasn't that I lost the weight. It's that I changed. I became who I really need to be to lose the weight. And becoming that person made me better, made me stronger, gave me even more confidence. People are drawn to that. People want to see, when they see success, they're drawn to it because they want success. When there's confidence, they're drawn to it because they want that for themselves. And then slowly but surely, I got busy on the business. Yes, I got sober. Worked on a lot of those things. That took a little bit of bandwidth. That took a little bit of focus, a little bit of eye off the main ball for that, for sure. But when I got to 397 this last time, it was probably the most positive way I've ever gotten to 397 pounds. I'm training heavy, not watching what I'm eating, right? Using the excuse that I'm a power lifter, I need to be bigger. And I was eating good food, but I was eating a lot of it. I wanted to be strong, but I also wasn't organized. I didn't take the right control. So I felt that coming on the end of 2018. The benching was going well. I was hitting my peak. I knew I wouldn't go along further, and I knew I needed a different goal because those last 3 years I'd set large goals physically, mentally, business-wise, and I was hitting them. As I'm older, I want those goals. I want to achieve more. I don't want to regress. I don't want to go backwards anymore. But then I sat and I took that honest evaluation and inventory of myself, and I sat back. My best me has always been when I've lost a bunch of weight, put myself in a better position physically and then mentally. So I sat down and I said, well, what's a great way to do it? I need to have a big why. I need to have a reason that this really matters beyond just for myself. So that's where I decided it was time to go after that bodybuilding goal. I've always wanted to do a bodybuilding show. I've always wanted to be lean. I've never had abs. So I said, you know what? 2019, that's the year I'm going to do it. I set a large goal. I committed to it myself. I committed to it socially. I told everybody about it. November 2nd or 9th, I am competing in my first bodybuilding show. Scared shitless about it. But it's a huge goal. And right off the bat, right, when I'm faced with large goals or big adversities, that's when I come out. That's when I come out swinging. So I sat down and I planned it out. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to start. And I took control. I took control of my food. I took control of what I was eating. I sat down and said, okay, here's what I got to go calorie-wise. Here's what that's going to look like on the meals. So for the first 30 pounds I lost, I focused on a certain way of eating, and it worked really well. Every week I was losing 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds. I was working out 3 times a week on the weights, 3 times a week on the cardio. I started off at 5 minutes on a stationary bike, level 1, because that's all I could handle. But I also knew that was more important to do that on a consistent basis than try to kill myself in the first 3 days. 11 weeks into it, I am down 61 pounds. I am eating better than ever. I am on top of things. I've acquired a new skill set. I didn't crack the code. I took the information that was already out there and I just applied it and I simplified it and I made it so that it was foolproof. So this fool could do it. You know, one of the biggest fears I had was when it came to bodybuilding was those details and, you know, knowing every gram and every ounce of what you eat. I'm like, oh, that's not me. I can't do it. I'm not that kind of detail guy. But you know what? Now that I'm there, I'm mad at myself I didn't do this earlier. I'm mad at myself I didn't do this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It is the easiest thing I've ever done now that I've done that work, now that I've organized it and I planned it out. I'm going to finish this podcast and I'm going to go upstairs and in 6 minutes I'm going to put together 3 of my meals for the day. because I know exactly what it is I have to eat. I weigh and measure my food, nothing goes in my mouth that I don't know the exact amount of calories, carbs, and protein. I started off with a very simple menu plan so that I could get my head around it. And 11 weeks later, I'm still eating the same food and I'm okay with it because of the results, because of how I feel. But I've taken control right down to the details. And those little details, at first, yes, was uncomfortable. At first, it was like, how does this work? And at first, yes, there was some work that had to be done, right? And sometimes we just shy away from work. We just, change and that kind of stuff. We don't naturally want to gravitate towards it. But my grocery list is so simple. I spend $75 a week on food, not counting my protein powder. It's 15% of what my food bill used to be because I used to eat out all the time. It's simple. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what it's supposed to look like. I weigh it out. Even to this day, I could eyeball it now. I don't. I pull out the weight scale. I weigh my food. I pull out the measuring cups. I measure out my carbs. Every meal is exactly the same. There's no room for error. And if I decide that I need to change something, I can look at it and say, okay, well, I'm going to add 50 grams of carbs. It's going to look like this, and it's going to be to this meal. The control is amazing. The stress I have when it comes to food is zero now. Zero. The efficiency is unbelievable. It saves so much time, so much effort, so much, Last night I'm like, I need some rice. Threw a pot on, threw a timer on. Boiled it, threw another timer on for the rice, came back, drained it, put it in the large Tupperware container, boom, carbs are done for the next 3 or 4 days. It was simple. 4 months ago, it would be like, I forgot to make the rice today. I forgot to make the rice. Hey, can someone make rice for me? Because it wasn't in my wheelhouse. It wasn't something, I shunned it. I need some chicken. Buy some chicken. Throw it in the oven. Boom. It is so easy. I'm relieved. I don't worry about it. I take my 3 meals to work every day. Every day I take the same little recycling bag and I put my empty containers in it and I bring them back. This is shit I never would have done. This is stuff I never did. I thought it was too difficult, too tedious. But now I'm like, I feel like I've cracked a code, but it's really simple. And there's where the resistance for a lot of people is. I can't eat like that forever. Well, what do you mean, eat like what? Right? My diet is pretty strict because I have 145 pounds to lose, or 155 pounds to lose in 11 months. But if I only had 40 pounds to lose, I'd be eating steak because I'd have room for it in my calories and my macros. So now it's chicken and tuna and egg whites. Now, listen, do I miss a good steak? Of course I do. But I know the steak will be coming. There's 34 more weeks and then I'll have steak. But at the end of the day, how I feel being down to 60 pounds, how my body looks, hopping on the scale and seeing success every day. In the 11 weeks, I can count on one hand how many times my weight didn't go down or went up a little bit. And when I look at it, I'm able to figure out why. Because I'm in control. There's no more guesswork. There's no more emotion. It's liberating. It truly is liberating. When people say, oh my God, I'll have to eat like that way forever. I'm like, I hope I eat this way forever. Like it's just made a huge difference. So the devil in the details and looking at things and breaking it down and then looking at a weight scale and saying, those are just showing me the results. It's not a personal reflection on me as a person. I'm not a good person or a bad person because I lost weight or I didn't lose weight. It's just showing me, am I on the right path? If I'm not losing weight, I go back to the numbers. What am I doing wrong? First, be honest. Am I adhering to the numbers? Yes. All right. So what do I adjust? I realized about 3 weeks ago when it came to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was sometimes flat, meaning I was staying the same weight or I was gaining half a pound. Now, based on what I'm doing, the calories and stuff like that, that shouldn't be happening, right? It can happen once in a while. So I sat down and I figured out the first time it happened, I gained 1.5 pounds is because we went to a restaurant. And in that restaurant, I ordered a cup of rice, 2 chicken breasts, and some sauteed vegetables. That's really what one of my meals is. But I gained 1.5 pounds the next day. I didn't indulge. I didn't have dessert. I didn't do anything else. So I realized is that in commercial cooking, they use a lot more sodium, a lot more nitrates to make it taste wonderful, to make it look different on the plate, and that caused some water retention. So I sat there and I said, all right, if that's what happens, then my body weight should be back down to normal within the next day or so. Just do what I'm doing. Sure enough, the next day, weighed in, was back down. Down and below where I was even before. So I learned something. Even though you try to eat clean in a restaurant, there's going to be some food, some additives to the food that are going to affect those things. So what did that do? Well, that showed me that I have to watch that. Number two, that second night we had family down, they wanted to go to the restaurant. Well, guess what, guys? I didn't go. Because I didn't want to do that again, because that was pulling me away from my goal. Or I could have went. I could have eaten before, just had soda water. That would have worked as well. But they were doing some other stuff afterwards I didn't want to do. But that was a conscious decision. And when they were done, they came back home. We hung out, played games. It was good. So no one died. Socially, the thing didn't go to hell. No one hated me. And if someone doesn't like me because I made a choice that's important to me, well then, fuck them. Forget what everyone else thinks. Just because all your friends want to go out 3 nights a week and you don't go out 3 nights a week, they're going to turn on you? Well, if they do, they're not your friend. So stop that. But it's just about staying focused. I weigh in every day. So many people, oh my God, that's not good for you. Well, why not? Why is it bad for me? It's how I stay accountable. I'm working with some clients now with their food. That's what I have them do. Tell you what, the ones that are weighing in every day, you know what's happening? They're losing weight because it shows them that it matters every day what they eat. The ones that weigh in once a week or don't want to weigh in, they don't lose weight. They don't lose weight to the same level because it's one reminder for the whole week. Weighing in every day is a daily reminder. People say, psychologically it's hard on people. Well, you know what? Being weak and overweight and broken is psychologically hard on people as well too. So you got to toughen up a bit. You got to bite your bottom lip and you got to go and get it done. That's the first 60 pounds, guys. I have 91 more pounds to go for November for the bodybuilding show. It's 38 weeks out when I started this. I've set myself on a 32-week course to give myself 6 weeks leeway in case life happens, in case I need to adjust upwards, in case I hit my goal sooner, so I can have some room, some wiggle room. It gives me a little bit of a buffer. Now, I don't use it as a safety net saying, hey, listen, it's okay if I don't eat well this week because I've got those 6 weeks planned out. Oh, no. Those 6 weeks are in case I have to make a drastic change, in case I have to eat up for a little bit, in case I have to change something, in case something bizarre happens. Because I want to do well at this show. At this bodybuilding show, I'm not going there to win it. Someone said, well, your Masters 2 or whatever it is, you might be the only one in, you're going to win. I go, that doesn't mean anything to me. And quite honestly, I'd rather come in 3rd out of 4 than come in 1st with no one else in my class. There's no honor in that. But that's not what the goal for this thing is. The goal for me is to complete the task I set before myself. I've always wanted to do a bodybuilding show ever since my teens. So my goal is to get on this bodybuilding stage, be at 10%, which means I'll have abs. Most bodybuilders walk in there at 4%, 6%. So again, if guys are leaner than me in my category, they're leaner than me. But I guarantee you they didn't lose 155 pounds in 11 months to get there. And it's not me against them. It's me against me. It's me setting a goal for myself, setting higher standards for myself, giving a shit about myself enough to hold myself to higher standards, and then get there. And when I get there, I can look back and say, hey, I did it. I said I was going to do it, and I fucking did it. And that is empowering. That is what's going to set me up for the next goal and the next challenge. And the goals and challenges are only going to keep coming because that's what moves me forward. That's what moves all of us forward. Take control, guys. That's all I have to say for now on that. Head on over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and positive review. Head on over to hostilegear.com. Use the code word Silverback to get 20% off your Taking Control hoodie. And as always, guys, work hard, motherfuckers, and I'll talk to you guys later.